All that shortly, but first some breaking news coming in right this minute. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has reacted to US President Donald Trump's recent tweet in which he lambasted Islamabad for supporting terrorism. Nawaz Sharif has called that tweet a non-serious one that was unfortunate. Nawaz Sharif also called on current Prime Minister Sharif Abbasi to end Pakistan's reliance on aid from the United States. Let's get in further details from our correspondent, Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui, joining us from Islamabad. Taha, it's a very interesting, the kind of criticism that former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif now chooses to hurl at the United States in the wake of the criticism Pakistan is grappling with. What more do we know on what Nawaz Sharif has stated?
Well, basically Nawaz Sharif has instructed his own Prime Minister, so he's the head of the ruling party, and he's instructed his Prime Minister to sort of, restrain and cut down on dependency on aid that Pakistan has dependency on the United States. And basically in that regard, he has instructed the Pakistani Prime Minister Sharif Abbasi. Now, the Prime Minister is basically has called a special cabinet meeting, which is ongoing as we speak right now, in which they will be discussing how to go about this this new direction that seems to be developing with regards to the U.S.-Pakistan relationship, in which Pakistan and U.S. are not going to be the same kind of allies that they used to be.
It's also very diplomatic the way former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif chooses to instruct his leader Sharif Abbasi to end Pakistan's reliance on aid from the United States. But in the same breath, Taha, we've seen how his own party, the way it's tried to portray that the criticism so far that it has attracted from the United States has been incomprehensible. It has chosen to distinguish between fact and fiction, but has been unable to do so.
Well, yesterday when National Security Committee meeting met, at that time they came up with that particular statement with regards to how they should, they needed further clarification, and they were the Pakistani leadership, the civilian and the military leadership, was a little perplexed, because from the looks of it, it seems like ever since the AFPAC policy was announced by Trump's administration, following that, relations between the two countries were actually on a trajectory where they were improving, or at least, they were finding common ground. This tweet that comes out of nowhere, as it is being portrayed or being perceived in Pakistan. So that is why that statement came out yesterday, which was more of a composed and more of a measured sort of statement from the civilian and the military leadership of the country. Now, with Nawaz Sharif, his statement is more of a political sort of statement that's come from chief of Pakistan's ruling party. So in that sense, it seems like the government and the PMLN, or the ruling party, are acting as two different independents.
All right, and Taha, we also aware that there will be a cabinet meeting which will take place in just a short while from now. Given the fact that Pakistan has so far been unable to really talk in further detail about what it means when it refers to that aid as reimbursement, do we expect a further statement to come in on that front post that cabinet meeting, which will take place in just some time from now?
Well, mainly the statement yesterday was the main thing that they came out with, and the main statement, because it was across the board sort of leadership that was present with regards to the civilian and the military both. Today with the cabinet, it's more or less going to be talking about, from what we know, insiders, it's going to be focusing more on the economical aspects of it and the foreign policy aspects of it, and to sort of perhaps further sort of see how relations with the U.S. can be affected, because the country that is in question, the United States, Pakistan is dependent on it when it comes to not just receiving of aid or military assistance, but also it's the biggest market for Pakistani exports. So all of that has to be kept in mind. The diaspora living in the U.S., which is almost seventh largest diaspora of Pakistanis living anywhere abroad. So all of that has to be kept in mind, and then accordingly, perhaps the federal cabinet will decide what to do and how to go about the future sort of policy with the United States.
Going to leave it there for the moment. Taha will, of course, keep coming back to you for further updates. Also on that cabinet meeting, which will take place in just a short bit from now. Pakistan continuing to maintain that it has done what it could in its capacity to fight terrorism, in its rebuttal to that tweet given out by U.S. President Donald Trump, where he's lambasted Pakistan on the first day of the new year, criticizing Pakistan for harboring terrorism.